How to build unshakable confidence using Stoicism. Do you ever feel like you're in a constant battle with self-doubt? That feeling when one negative comment ruins your whole day, or the fear of what others think holds you back from what you really want. Or maybe it's just that quiet voice in your head, the one that whispers you're not good enough. I've been there. I know that feeling all too well. But what if I told you that a 20-year-old philosophy holds the key to building real, unshakable confidence? I decided to put the core principles of Stoicism to the test in my own life, and today I'm going to share the daily exercises and mindset shifts that helped me build a confidence that actually lasts. The problem of modern self-doubt. Let's be honest. The world we live in can feel like it's designed to break down our confidence. We scroll through perfectly polished highlight reels of other people's lives and immediately start playing the comparison game. We post a picture or share an idea and then hold our breath, waiting for the validation of likes and positive comments. We walk into a meeting and that imposter syndrome kicks in, that nagging feeling that we're about to be found out. This isn't just a personal failing, it's practically a modern epidemic. We're taught from a young age to look outside of ourselves for our sense of worth. Our confidence becomes fragile, like a house of cards built on the shaky ground of other people's opinions, external praise, and temporary wins. All it takes is one gust of wind, a critical remark, a project that doesn't go as planned, a period of uncertainty, and the whole thing collapses. We're left feeling anxious, inadequate, and exposed. The root of the problem is that we've outsourced our confidence. We've given the remote control for our self-esteem to things we have absolutely no control over. And that's exactly where the ancient Stoics come in. They weren't just thinkers. They were masters of a mental and emotional martial art. They created a blueprint for building a fortress of confidence from the inside out, a confidence that doesn't depend on praise, promotions, or public approval. It's a confidence that's rooted in your character, your resilience, and your understanding of what truly matters. I decided to put this ancient blueprint to the test to see if these ideas, forged in the Roman Empire, could hold up against the pressures of the 21st century. The journey was a game-changer, and it all started with 5 powerful practices. Practice 1, the dichotomy of control, reclaiming your power. The first, and maybe the most important, principle in all of Stoicism is something called the dichotomy of control. The philosopher Epictetus, who was born into slavery and became one of the most respected teachers in Rome, put it simply and clearly. He said, "Some things are in our control, and others not. The things we control are our opinions, our choices, our desires, and our own actions. The things we don't control are our bodies, our property, our reputation, and what other people do." This sounds simple, but internalizing it is one of the most profound shifts you can ever make. So much of our anxiety and self-doubt comes from worrying about and trying to manage things that are, and always will be, completely outside of our control. Think about a job interview. You can't control if the interviewer is in a bad mood. You can't control if they've already picked a favorite candidate. You can't control their final decision. Stressing about those things is a perfect recipe for a confidence crisis. But what can you control? You can control how much research you do on the company. You can control how much you practice your answers. You control the clothes you wear, showing up on time, the energy you bring into the room, and the honesty you put into your responses. That's your domain. That's where all your power is. True Stoic confidence comes from relentlessly focusing your energy and your sense of worth only on what's inside your circle of control. When you do this, something amazing happens. The opinions of others and the outcomes of events stop being threats to your ego. They just become information. If someone gives you criticism, you can look at it calmly. Is it useful feedback about something you can control, like your technique? Great, you can use it to get better. Is it just a random opinion about something you can't control? Then, as Epictetus would say, it's nothing to you. A great way to build this muscle is with a circle of control journal. At the end of each day, draw a circle on a page. Inside it, write down everything that happened that was within your control. The choices you made, the effort you gave, how you responded to a difficult person. Outside the circle, write down everything that was beyond your control. The traffic, the weather, that difficult person's mood. This simple act is a daily workout for your brain. It trains you to detach your self-worth from the chaos outside the circle and anchor it firmly in what you command, your own thoughts and actions. This is how you build your foundation for unshakable confidence. Practice 2. Negative visualization, the secret to resilience. Okay, this next one might sound a little strange. It's called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. In plain English, we call it negative visualization. It sounds like a downer, but it's one of the most powerful tools for building gratitude and resilience you'll ever find. The philosopher Seneca, who was one of the richest men in Rome, was a huge fan of this. He knew that we humans have a bad habit of taking things for granted. We only really appreciate our health when we're sick, our jobs when we're at risk of losing them, and our relationships when they feel shaky. Negative visualization is a way to short-circuit that. It's the practice of actively and vividly imagining losing the things you value. Don't just think, oh, it would be bad to lose my job. Really go there in your mind. Imagine the conversation with your boss. Feel that pit in your stomach as you pack up your desk. Picture the uncertainty of what comes next. Spend a few moments imagining life without your best friend, without your home, or even just thinking about your own mortality. The point of this isn't to make you anxious, it's to do the exact opposite. First, when you come back to the present and realize your job is safe, your friend is just a text away, and you are alive and healthy, this incredible wave of gratitude washes over you. The things you took for granted just moments before now feel like precious gifts. Second, and this is key for confidence, it makes you incredibly resilient. Seneca wrote that the unexpected blow is the one that hits the hardest. By mentally rehearsing potential challenges, you strip them of their power to shock and destabilize you. You've already survived them in your mind. You've seen that even in a worst-case scenario, you'd find a way to get through it. Imagine you have a big presentation coming up that you're terrified of. A Stoic would sit down and vividly imagine it going terribly. Your slides crash. You stumble over your words. The audience looks bored. Then you ask yourself, and then what? Would I survive? Yes. Would I learn something from it? Definitely. Would it be the end of my life or my career? Not a chance. By facing your fears in your imagination, you prove to yourself that you can handle adversity. Your confidence is no longer tied to things going perfectly. It's rooted in the knowledge that no matter what happens, you have the inner strength to deal with it. You become less afraid of failure because you've already looked it in the eye and realized it's not the monster you thought it was. Practice 3. The internal scorecard, freeing yourself from external validation. If there's one major thief of confidence, it's the desperate need for other people's approval. We're always looking to others to tell us that we're smart, successful, or worthy. Our self-esteem goes up and down with every comment, every promotion, every little sign of validation from the outside world. The Stoics saw this as a form of self-imposed slavery. Why would you hand over your peace of mind to people and events you have no control over? Their solution was to develop an internal scorecard. The idea is to shift your source of validation from the outside in. Your worth isn't decided by what other people think of you. It's decided by your commitment to living with character and integrity. As the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Think of it this way. The world has an external scorecard for you. It measures you by your job title, your salary, or how many followers you have. An internal scorecard is totally different. It measures you by things you completely control: your effort, your honesty, your kindness, and how you bounce back from a setback. Let's say you launch a project at work, and it doesn't hit its financial targets. The external scorecard might call that a failure, and that can crush your confidence. But your internal scorecard asks different questions. Did you give it your absolute best effort? Did you act with integrity? Did you treat your team with respect? Did you learn from what went wrong? If the answer is yes, then on your internal scorecard, you were a success, no matter the outcome. This is what Epictetus meant when he said, "First tell yourself what sort of man you want to be, then act accordingly in all you do." Real confidence comes from closing the gap between the person you want to be and the person you actually are every day. When you know, deep down, that you are living by your own values, the opinions of others start to fade into the background. Praise is nice, but you don't need it. Criticism might still sting, but it can't shake your core sense of self-worth, because that's no longer up for debate. A practical way to do this is with a nightly reflection. Before bed, ask yourself a few simple questions based on your internal scorecard. Where was I courageous today? Where did I act with kindness? When did I let my ego get the best of me? When did I focus on what I could control? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about gentle, honest self-assessment. Over time, this builds a quiet, deep, and truly solid confidence that doesn't depend on the chaotic judgment of the outside world. Practice 4. Memento Mori, the ultimate motivator. There's a powerful legend from ancient Rome about victorious generals. As a general paraded through the streets in a chariot, soaking in the cheers of the crowd, a man would stand behind him, whispering in his ear over and over again, "Memento Mori." Remember, you will die. This might sound dark, but for the Stoics, Memento Mori wasn't about being morbid. It was a tool for clarity, purpose, and, believe it or not, confidence. Remembering that your time is limited is the ultimate cure for trivial fears. So much of our self-doubt is tied up in worries that are tiny when you look at the big picture. We're afraid to ask someone on a date because we fear rejection. We're afraid to start a business because we fear failure. We're afraid to speak up because we fear what people might think. Memento Mori cuts right through that noise. It asks one simple, powerful question. In the face of my own death, is this fear really that important? Marcus Aurelius wrote about this all the time in his private journal. He said, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now, take what's left and live it properly." This isn't about being reckless. It's about being authentic. It's about realizing that you have a finite amount of time, and wasting it by being paralyzed by fear of judgment is the biggest tragedy of all. How does this build confidence? It completely reframes your perspective. Suddenly, the risk of a little embarrassment feels insignificant compared to the risk of a life filled with regret. The fear of what someone might say about you is nothing compared to the regret of never saying what you truly believed. It injects a sense of urgency and boldness into your life. When you really internalize memento mori, you stop putting your life on hold. You start the project. You make the call. You take the trip. Your confidence grows not because you're suddenly sure you'll succeed, but because you're no longer afraid of the small bumps along the way. You understand that the only real failure is getting to the end and realizing you never truly started living. A simple way to practice this is to put a small reminder, a coin, a note on your desk, an icon on your phone somewhere. You'll see it every day. When you see it, just pause and ask yourself, am I living in a way that feels true to me? Am I letting small fears hold me back? This check-in dissolves the anxieties that kill confidence and replaces them with a powerful sense of purpose. Practice 5. Amor fati, loving your fate and reframing obstacles. The final, and perhaps the most powerful, Stoic practice for unshakable confidence is the idea of amor fati, a love of your fate. This doesn't just mean you passively accept whatever happens to you. It means you actively embrace it, love it, and see everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as necessary. The Stoics believed that challenges weren't things that got in the way of life. They were a core part of life. As Seneca said, difficulty strengthens the mind as labor does the body. They saw adversity as a kind of training ground, a gym where you go to build the muscles of your character. This idea is captured perfectly in one of Marcus Aurelius's most famous lines: "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Just think about that for a second. The obstacle isn't blocking your path. The obstacle is your new path. Let's say you get laid off. The normal reaction is panic, despair, and a huge hit to your confidence. Someone practicing amor fati would see it differently. They wouldn't pretend it doesn't hurt, but they would choose to see it as an opportunity. Maybe this is the push you needed to find a new career. Maybe this is a chance to learn a new skill. They don't just put up with the obstacle, they use it. They find the advantage in the disadvantage. This mindset is the source of truly unbreakable confidence, because if every single thing that happens to you, no matter how hard, is a chance to grow, then what is there left to fear? If failure is just a lesson, if rejection is just redirection, and if loss is a chance to practice courage, then nothing can truly break you. Your confidence is no longer based on getting what you want. It's rooted in the profound belief that whatever you get is exactly what you need to become a stronger, wiser person. Practicing amor fati is all about changing your internal talk track. When something goes wrong, the normal reaction is, "This shouldn't be happening." The amor fati response is, "This is happening, and I'm going to find the good in it. This will be my training." When someone insults you, instead of feeling hurt, you can think, "Thank you for this opportunity to practice my patience." It's about taking the raw, and often painful, material of life and transforming it into personal strength. A person who can do this is truly unstoppable. Their confidence doesn't come from the world bending to their will, but from their ability to find strength no matter how the world is. Conclusion: the journey to an internal fortress. So, where did this experiment with Stoicism leave me? Building confidence this way isn't like flipping a switch. It's more like building a fortress, brick by brick, day by day. It's a practice, not a quick fix. By focusing on what I could control, I stopped wasting so much energy on anxiety and started putting it into action. By picturing tough scenarios, I built up a resilience that made me less afraid of setbacks and more grateful for what I have right now. By creating my own internal scorecard, I slowly cut the cord to my need for outside approval. By remembering my mortality, I found the courage to act despite my fears, and by trying to love whatever happened, I started to see every obstacle as a stepping stone. The result isn't a loud, flashy kind of confidence. It's a quiet, steady self-assurance. It's the deep-down knowledge that while I can't control what happens to me, I have complete control over how I respond, and in that response, I find my freedom and my strength. True, unshakable confidence isn't about believing you'll never fall. It's about knowing you have the strength to get back up every single time. It is an internal fortress built on the timeless foundations of wisdom, courage, and self-control. The principles are simple, but putting them into practice is a lifelong journey. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these Stoic ideas resonated with you the most? Is there one you'd be willing to try out for just the next week? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might just be the inspiration someone else needs to start building their own fortress. And if you got some value from this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching. Now go and start building.